Hi, my name is Don Reeves. I am Senior Vice President of Outcomes here at Itron. I am delighted to be talking with you today and appreciate the invitation from Bidgely to join the event. Let me tell you a little bit about Itron. So we have about 8,000 customers around the world. We manage over 70 million connections, connected devices. We're collecting about 500 million data records on a daily basis. And I think for this session today, one of the things I want to be conveying is we focus on partnering. Today, we've got over 250 different companies that are part of our ecosystem program. And we think that's one of the key strategies that we employ to deliver solutions to our customers. We recognize what we're good at doing, but we also recognize that there's a much broader community out there in the world. And if we can work together effectively, we can bring innovative solutions to market and to our customers much more rapidly than we can do on our own. And so I'm delighted with the partnership that we've established with Bidgely to date, and look forward to an even broader structure of partnerships in the months and years to come. What are the challenges that we see out in the world today? And I'll take you through 4 major challenges. The first clearly is a focus on moving to renewable generation and an overall focus on decarbonization. We see this happening broadly around the world, and this really fundamentally changes the nature of the grid. Previously, utilities were reliant upon energy generation sources that were essentially always on, always available. And now that's no longer the case. And so that inherently makes the job of the utility more challenging, and it opens up the possibility for optimizing the nature of the grid and choosing the best available energy source at a given moment in time. It also provides for the opportunity to make the grid more dynamic because load is not static, and there's the potential for variability to be introduced. And then, of course, adding batteries into the mix and other types of storage that can be distributed throughout the grid really provides for an immense amount of opportunity and choice. Next, we think a major theme is the acceleration of the prosumer model. And when we talk about that, think about individual consumers who have put solar on their rooftop, and they're now putting a battery on their garage wall, and they are driving or considering driving a hybrid or an electric vehicle, and they might have a few smart appliances. And they're focused on trying to do the best they can for the environment, and they're trying to get the best value they can, drive their costs down. But of course, they still demand reliability, right? Everyone assumes the lights will always come on when you flip that switch. We see that as a giant challenge for the utility and for cities, and that's one we want to go ahead and enable. A third major challenge we see that's driving transition is the rapid urbanization and development of cities. This is a trend that's been going on for quite a while. COVID may interrupt this for a period of time, but we think the long-term trend will continue. And so supporting energy needs in dense areas of habitation, supporting electrification as our transportation systems move ever more to rely upon electricity versus other types of fuels as their fundamental source of energy. Those are all very significant challenges for both the utility and the city. And so we believe that is going to fundamentally drive a lot of change. And then finally, in general, the movement towards the digital economy and high consumer expectations. So the days of waiting for your utility to deliver a bill for energy at the end of the month, or a water bill that might come every other month, those days are long past, right? As a consumer, I want to be educated instantaneously as to anything that's unusual with my usage patterns. And if my bill is going to be higher than usual, if there's a leak happening within my irrigation system, or worse yet, within my home, as I personally recently experienced, I want to know about that as quickly as possible so I can go take action. And so we believe those expectations of consumers open up a whole new set of opportunities as well as challenges for utilities and cities. And we're pretty excited to be focusing on providing technology to meet those challenges. Now, the way we approach this is, again, with a multi-pronged approach. First off, not surprisingly, we're a strong believer in the cloud. So we have an Itron private cloud model. It's a hybrid. We leverage public cloud technologies, but we also leverage some of our own colo data centers for hosting applications. We understand that security is incredibly important to our customers, and securing their data is one of the most important functions we perform, is ensuring that data is used appropriately, is shared only with appropriate other partners, and is leveraged in a manner consistent with the intended use. So again, I mentioned earlier, we today support 70 million connected devices around the world. Managing all the data coming through those devices is a key part of what we do. We see the expectations only rising over time around how security is managed and how that data is managed. And we think that's an area for opportunity because we know that the technology is evolving very rapidly. And it's tough for utilities and cities to invest sufficiently on their own to keep up with all the technology change. A second prong of our strategy is supporting multiple transports. So cellular technology is awesome. 5G is starting to roll out. Wi-Fi in the home is pervasive. Mesh technology, though, is also still an important part of the solution, we believe. So looking at the way to bring together the best of all those worlds and to allow a sensor or a meter, any type of device to be connected in a manner which is most cost efficient, most reliable, most secure, and then enabling the data from all those sensors to come together. That's what our platform and our multi-transport strategy is all about. And then finally, we see a major shift happening towards intelligence at the edge. To date, the utility industry has largely operated by gathering data, bringing it back to the back office, and then crunching the data there. And of course, that strategy and that process will continue to apply. But as you start looking at the need for getting increasingly granular data and moving more towards real time for all the reasons I cited earlier, you now want to go find ways to actually perform the processing of that data at the edge and not suffer the latency of having to go pull that back. And frankly, you don't want to be suffering the cost either of having to go ahead and load all that data into a massive data warehouse in the cloud and crunch it there. So we're focusing heavily on enabling that future and then bringing along our developer ecosystem to be able to leverage that part of the platform. So there'll be a set of applications that Itron will develop, and indeed we've developed a few and have those deployed in the field today. But far more important will be the set of future applications. And whether or not it is a constantly powered device connected to the grid, or it is a battery-powered sensor, if it's electricity, water, gas, whatever the element is that's being measured, we want to enable intelligence to be and computation to be taking place at the edge. Now, how does this translate? There's a few interesting use cases here. So one is obviously going to be focused directly to the utilities in the cities in terms of allowing them to manage their operations more efficiently. And that will help drive costs down, and those costs should be passed on to end consumers. But equally important, I believe, will be the opportunity for new types of services to show up and be made available to the end consumer. And so let's talk about a few of those. So load disaggregation is an area in which we are partnering with Bidgely today. And it's something that we find to be very exciting because it enables the possibility of giving the end consumer more insight into how they are consuming energy and how their habits can change and evolve in order to reduce that energy consumption and to save them money. And we can do this all without having to go ahead and deploy additional sensors, but instead rely upon the devices that are already connected into the consumer's home. Specific use cases here can range from understanding how much is it costing the consumer to heat and cool their home, how much they're spending on washing their dishes and washing their clothes. But more importantly, once you have those numbers, having those in a vacuum doesn't really help. You want to be able to compare and understand, well, how am I doing versus other like consumers in my neighborhood? And more importantly, what are my opportunities to save money? Or what are my opportunities to be more green and use more renewable energy? And so we can provide those sorts of answers to the end consumer. And I find that really exciting. And then if you are a hybrid or EV owner, obviously one of your questions is going to be, well, when should I charge my vehicle? So being able to optimize that and optimize the cost of charging the vehicle becomes, we think, a critical use case as well. That all starts with a fundamental foundation of identifying, does the consumer actually have an EV, and then presenting that consumer with options. A third use case really comes around battery storage, and I mentioned that earlier as one of the emerging trends. So if I've got solar on my rooftop, if I've got a battery, well, how do I know when to charge the battery and when to discharge the battery? And so we see that will be an area of rapid evolution and focus, and there'll be a lot of opportunity for the end consumer to optimize for their case, but then to look more broadly at the neighborhood and the broader community and optimize across that entire set of end consumers. And I'll take the case personally here in California. I'm sure many of you who are from this area remember last year when we were having to go through various public safety power shutoffs. Well, wouldn't it be great if we can prevent the potential outbreak of fires by turning off transmission lines and above ground distribution lines, but still then allow the local generation capability to exist within a neighborhood and allow each and every homeowner in that neighborhood continue to have power to their home and have the ability to go ahead and appropriately share the power that is available. That is within our reach. As we look at our overall architecture, we want to provide a app store to the utility and the city, and by extension to the end consumer, that will enable us to dynamically download new capabilities into the smart endpoints where distributed intelligence resides. So we're excited that we actually have a version of that operational today. We look forward to working with Bidgely and other companies such as Bidgely to be making their offerings available through that app store and to provide seamless capability of delivering that to millions of meters distributed around the world. So let me take you through a couple of proof points of the value of distributed intelligence, just to show what it's capable of doing. And so this is a case of we're detecting abnormally high flow of energy through a meter into a premise. And this can indicate all sorts of potential problems, including some that could actually lead to a fire breaking out. A second use case is tied to broken neutral. And this can result in energy flowing in unexpected ways through the home. And unfortunately, one of the end results can be a consumer being shocked when using their faucet. And then the third use case is meter bypass theft, where this is a common approach, unfortunately used by homeowners. If they want to try and steal electricity, they try to bypass their meter. So we have DI applications built to that are used to identify all three of these scenarios. We have a customer in Florida, TECO, Tampa Electric, and they ran a bake-off of those 3 applications against the best in breed available applications that can run in the cloud, leveraging existing AMI data. In this case, it's 5 or 15-minute AMI data. And the results were striking. With the DI applications, we had 100% positive identification and 0% false positive identification of all the different scenarios that we ran through across those 3 use cases. With the cloud-based solutions leveraging AMI data, for 2 of those scenarios, we weren't able to identify any of the occurrences. With the meter bypass theft, we actually were able to identify theft in some of the cases, but unfortunately, we also had a very high percentage of false positives. So the conclusion from TICO is that DI truly can provide additional value above and beyond what they can do today with current AMI data. And again, we are firm believers in a variety of back office analytics. We sell a number of those products ourselves. We are actively partnering with a number of companies to provide their analytics. So this is in no way criticizing the capabilities of those products. But as we look forward to the sort of analytics that can be enabled when you've got access to very high frequency data, we think that opens up a whole new world of opportunity. And we're excited to see those beliefs actually validated independently by our customers. Second use case I'll take you through has to do with gas distribution networks. On the East Coast of the United States, where we have a large number of indoor gas meter rooms, unfortunately, at times, there are occasions when buildings have blown up because of gas leaks that have gone undetected. So to address this sort of scenario, we partnered with a third party to build a natural gas detector or methane sensor. And that can be deployed in the meter room and can detect in real time any sort of gas leak. So we've deployed this in partnership with our customer Con Ed in their service territory in Manhattan and surrounding areas. We have just under 10,000 of these devices deployed to date. And we have literally identified dozens of gas leaks with those sensors. There have been 0 false positives. And some of the leaks were so significant that there was a belief that very rapid response was needed to prevent any sort of possible explosive event. And in all cases, luckily, we were able to get the trucks rolled and have the problems resolved in time. Now, the technology is evolving, and we're delighted to be able to talk about products that we're shipping, as well as our others in the industry are shipping, where we can marry that technology of the gas sensor and have that tied directly into shutoff valves that can automatically take action in the case of human beings not being able to react quickly enough. So that's yet another example of that edge intelligence, and then coupled with taking action right there at the edge. So that's where we think the industry is heading, and we're happy to be helping lead the charge. So in conclusion, hopefully what you've heard from me today is Itron's focus on building a more resourceful world. We're focused on providing a platform that is transport agnostic, that is device agnostic, and ultimately is one that provides an open ecosystem where any number of partners can participate and provide best-of-breed solutions directly to utility and smart city customers. We've made a lot of progress in the last few years in delivering this platform into the market and delivering value to our customers. But frankly, we're even more excited about the years to come as edge intelligence in the form of distributed intelligence becomes more pervasive, and we can see a variety of use cases enabled that will deliver value, not just the utility, but also to the end consumer. Thank you very much.
Hello there. My name is Abhay Gupta, and I am the founder and CEO at Bidgely. Um, we're glad to have Don Reeves from Itron here with us. Don, thanks a lot for sharing your views with our audience here. We are very excited about the infrastructure and the backbone of the smart grid that you are building with all the metering network and cool technologies. It's very exciting to see the kind of applications and use cases you can enable in the coming years on top of the infrastructure that you're building, pushing the envelope on the kind of data and networking capabilities of this grid. I have a few questions for you that I'm sure our audience will find it very interesting to learn about. The first question I have is, can you share about your partner ecosystem, how many partners you have on the ecosystem, and what kind of use cases you are enabling with your partner ecosystem?
So Itron's got about 250 partners within our partner ecosystem. And they range from device partners that are connected into the physical networks that we support and ship today. We also have a very large set of software partners in addition. So folks that we integrate with in the back office, and we go co-sell directly to our utility and city customers. I'm really excited as well that we've recently launched our distributed intelligence developer program. And so there, we're working with folks such as yourselves to be building applications that can be running at the edge.
So how are your customers, or rather our customers, so the industry, responding to your partner ecosystem, and how do you see the adoption?
Well, I think fundamentally our customers want choice, right? They don't want to be locked in. They want to be able to choose best of breed vendors. But then their expectations are that we make it easy for them to deploy all those solutions. No utility in the world that I know of, and no city that I know of, wants to actually be a massive system integrator. They want to get tried and true solutions. They want to know that they're pre-integrated. They want to know that they're secure. They want to know that they're easy to operate. And they want someone else to have already done all that hard work to go pull that all together. So I think that's a key part of the value proposition that we provide is working with our partners, doing all that hard technical work ahead of time, putting in the effort to define all the operational procedures, validating security, and then delivering those easy to use solutions. So internally, I think of this as minimizing the time to value. So from when a customer says go and they've selected, in this case, hopefully Itron and Bidgely to deliver a new capability, how quickly can we bring that new capability online? And how quickly can we actually deliver value to go solve the utility problem?
What message do you have for your existing customers on taking advantage of Bidgely and Itron's partnership? How can they move forward in the least amount of time, least cost, and least effort to enable the applications that we're bringing together?
What you really bring to the party is a very significant technology platform. But more importantly, you figured out how to apply all that technology to solve real world problems. And so we've got clearly identified use cases that we can go ahead and marry existing data and tie that into your platform and go solve those specific problems today. We know that we can go turn on additional, more granular data streams and deliver even more insights. And then as we evolve towards DI, there's even more we can do there. So our overall vision and what we convey to our customers is that by selecting the Itron platform and the Bidgely set of applications built on your platform, we can bring them value in a much faster way than they can hope by doing it themselves.
I'm very excited about that for obvious reasons. Now that you're bringing your next generation meters to life, what plan do you have to make real-time data accessible by consumers? And do you still need a box in the house to get the real-time data, or would you be able to enable some real-time access by consumer, or a day old, either real-time or day old, but without needing another box in the house?
Yeah. So I think you've hit the nail on the head, Abhay, right? The first attempt by industry to provide a solution, I think honestly was functional. And there's a bunch of good examples out there of where real value was derived. But ultimately, it did not enjoy the sort of volume acceptance that we all really expected and needed. As you just said, right? Consumers need real-time data, right? If you look at kind of all the applications you got on your smartphone, the fundamental premise is that you got access to data as quickly as it is generated. And so we're really excited by evolving and moving to relying upon Wi-Fi as the fundamental wireless transport, 2030.5 operating above that. And then that opens up a whole host of possibilities. So answering your question specifically, no, the consumer won't need another device in their home. We can have their new electric meter join their Wi-Fi network, join their router, and they'll do it securely. It'll be the consumer's choice to allow that device to join in. They'll have the opportunity then to be able to leverage that data on their smartphone and get real-time insights. And so it's really tapping into that broader ecosystem that we're excited about, and we hope can propel the industry forward to achieving the results that we've basically been searching for the past decade.
That's fantastic. I'm very excited about it. The only part that hurts me is unfortunately, the meters you sell are so resilient that it takes 25 years to replace them. So I guess we'll wait for the new devices to get adopted in the next.
Well, I just think on that front, I'll make a quick comment. I think we're seeing actually nearing the end of life on a number of first generation AMI systems. And I think as important, we're also seeing the new technology opens up a whole new host of benefits and use cases that some previous incarnations of the technology did not. So I actually think we're going to see utilities looking to adopt these new technologies relatively quickly. And for ones that chose platforms that provide seamless upgradability and backwards compatibility, they'll be able to take advantage of these new technologies much more rapidly. And that's certainly part of Itron's strategy.
So I'm going to ask you one last question. If you have to name one applications, maybe to your choice, that benefit from the real-time data access, because real-time data may come at a little bit of cost in more modules or more communication devices in the meter. What is that one or two top applications that we can enable with real-time data that basically make it all worthwhile?
I'd say on the consumer side, I really do think that load disaggregation has the potential to be that killer app, or at least let's say the technology of load disaggregation can be powering the killer app. Because I think, as you said earlier, right, no one really wants to go deploy some additional hardware in their home that's special purpose. They'd rather just get these insights. And just as, I think Tesla is out there showing the auto industry that you can actually dynamically upgrade your car without ever taking your car into the shop, wouldn't utilities be excited about being able to dynamically upgrade the service to their consumer without ever having to go swap the meter out? So I'm pretty excited about load disaggregation and the insights that can be provided there. I think on the utility side, I think a second killer use case is, and this is going to sound really bizarre, but it's actually going to be location identification. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, don't utilities know exactly where all their assets are? Well, of course they do. But actually understanding how they're all connected, that turns out to be a dynamic problem. And so understanding that interconnected nature of the electrical grid, getting that insight in real time, and then being able to act on that information, tying together that location data with all the other data they already have, we think that's going to be incredibly valuable to the utility in optimizing their operations.
That is fantastic. I'll add to your example of the consumer side. What I had in mind also was, as I was hearing you, from load disaggregation, we can actually identify in the peak hours or even in the demand response events, consumers who actually turn on any large device in real time, we can detect what's turned on and send a notification right there to proactively turn the large loads down. I think it's a totally different ballgame because behavior-based demand reduction has not taken off, and we are still dependent today on installing expensive hardware control switches in the homes.
Yep.
And I think this can change the game to massive scale consumer behavior adoption into the new grid. Great. So thanks, Don. This was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for being part of the event.
Thank you so much.